Hello, this is Michael Pucciarelli, creator of Still Life and Landscape and Michael Pucciarelli YouTube channel. And as you know, I love landscape photography and still life photography in many ways. Tonight, we'll be talking about some new features of Photoshop where these are actions. And actions, these are the default actions. And so basically, all these are actions, and you just click on it and it'll load up here. So there's a lot you can do with these default actions. First thing I want to talk about is I'm going to create a type layer. I'm just going to say Michael Pucciarelli. I'm going to change the color to white. Maybe like a light blue. Okay. I'm going to make many copies by doing Control or Command J. So in the default actions, the first photo I'm going to talk about, I'm going to look at cast shadow. You have a little cast shadow here. And you can change the opacity. Second action, type action. If you see the word type, it means type. How about water reflection? So it produces like a cool reflection. And you can change the opacity. And you can change the blend mode overlay, lighten. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push F12. I'm going to do Control or Command J to duplicate the background layer. There's lots you can do with default actions. And these are worth experimenting. I'm going to run custom RGB to grayscale. It loads up the channel mixture. The monochrome is selected. And these are two sliders that are worth experimenting. And you have the option to flatten, cancel, don't flatten. I'm just going to click cancel. They have the molten lead. Gives a nice cool background. And you can change the blend mode to screen, lighten, multiply, overlay. You can lower the opacity. You can try Tonia CP. It's another way to create a black and white image. Then there's a gradient map option where it produces, a gradient map adjustment layer. Well, I'm gonna move it up, pass it up to 100. I'm gonna do soft light. But I'm gonna do I'm gonna do something like that and make it look more like a picture. Looks natural. So there's a lot you can do with the gradient map, this action. There's another cool, it's called the quadrant colors. These are 4 different colors. There's a lot you can do with the default actions. Now, the next group I'm going to talk about are the frame. I'm going to do Control Command J. And strokes frames. There's a lot of things you can do with this, and you can also, you can double click on layer cells and do more. For the wave frames. Nice wave. So there's all types of frames you can do. And I think I'll push up 12. Now there's text effects where you Control Command J to duplicate the background layer. And this is worth experimenting. Push F12. These are all type. So you can see the word type. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run my white signature. I'm just going to say finite photography. I'm going to shorten my signature. I'm going to make it bigger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make duplicate copies of my modified signature from the action that I just ran. So, and I'm just doing Control Command J to get there. So I'm going to go down the text effects because it's text. These are all type. You may confuse this with, textures. So these are all worth really experimenting. So we have, burning water. We have, let's see, there's a lot you can do. The waving. If you like that one. And this is water reflection. Water reflection. And again, if I can go to layer styles and make changes. We have cache header type. You could, do a lot of make changes here. Okay, this is, I ran this action, brush metal type, and it brings up the effects where, and it's using level emboss, and you can change the settings. You can change it to normal. You can change it to, screen, get the effect you like. You could add more effects. And some of the type layers, type actions in the default, they have the effects. Some of them do, some don't, but you can always add them in. Now I want to do textures. Where? There's lots you can do with textures. Let's start with marble glass. And it converts it, turns it into a smart object. And these are, the smart filters. We got a sunset. Stained glass, but you can always, you can always do layer effects. You can always, convert to a smart object. You can always apply more filters. Rusted metal. It's a nice rusted metal, and I could, maybe experiment with different blend modes. I'm going to try out pastel glass tiles. You know what I want to do? I'm going to try out bricks. Bricks, and this is a very cool, So I can turn this into a layer mask. I convert it because there we go. So basically, black hides, white reveals, but what I want to get is a soft brush. I'm gonna make it big, and I could just, paint in what I want. This is asphalt. Notice that they're clipping a layer to another layer. There's a lot to do with the textures. Now, I'm going to open up a new image. I'm going to open up a color image. I'm going to do over here. Suppose that I wanted to turn this in to a black and white. This lab black and white is really worth experimenting. I'm going to disable all my layers. Okay. I was clicking in the action group. You need to click on the action and it'll run. And basically, this will have the prompts of, and it turns into a cool black and white, and it uses the lab color space. I'll open up another image. I'm going to go back over, let's see. I'm going to go back over to my other image where I'm going to go to my actions. I'm going to go to my default actions. And now I'm going to do star trails. Star trails takes a while to run because there are many action steps, but you get a nice, cool circular star pattern. See that? And you can also change the blend mode to multiply. You can also, if you want to make it, it's a lot of cool stuff you can do. Up a brand new image on the other image. And then what I want to talk about is screen a little smaller, where I talk about the blend if, where you can do a lot with two layers. I'm just using the Alt key. It's good for creating vignettes. And basically, this is the underlying layer, and this is the overlayer. And there's many ways you can use this. And when you use the adjustment layer, you want to work with the underlying layer. Now I'm going to open up another image because I want to show, let's see something. Let's see. Actually, what I'll do is I'm just going to open up a raw file. I'm just going to open up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a brand new layer, right? Now, I'm going to do an oval. Suppose that you wanted to create a better set of eyes for your portrait. First thing you do is you draw an oval. And then you want to fill it with 50% gray. And then you want to go to filter and you want to add noise. And then you want to add another filter. You want to go to blur, and you want the radio blur. and you want to do zoom, I want to use a good number. So this could be someone's eye. Now, of course, we need to do more work. And let me make my brush smaller by pushing the bracket keys. I'm going to turn this into a layer mask by doing Alt and this. I'm going to invert it. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to be painting black because there's too much. And I got a very soft brush. And I'm going to show my brush. Should be a soft brush, 0% hardness, spacing 25. But it's a soft brush, and the hardness is 0%. What I'm going to do is, suppose this were the pupil, and the out part is the non-pupil part. And so you can change the blend mode to lighten or maybe overlay. Maybe you could just change it to multiply. This is one way to do an eye. And I do Command J, and I drag it over. So what I'm going to do, now I'm going to do this, is I'm going to create a little face. I'm going to create an oval face. Suppose this is someone's face. Now, I'm not going to, of course, use gray, but I could, but use something else. See, this could be someone's tan skin or orange skin, and these are the eyes. And then you could maybe, so this is something to think about when, doing portrait work is to, use oval selection. When it filled to 50% gray, then you want to use the add noise, use a high number, and then you want to do the radial blur, do zoom. Well, this concludes my webinar. Thank you for listening to this webinar. Maybe if you're interested, maybe subscribe and like and subscribe to YouTube channel, Still Life and Landscape by Michael Pucciarelli. My YouTube channel has playlist of the white plexus table, the black plexus table, light painting, landscape information, equipment, Adobe software. So there's a lot to learn on my YouTube channel, and it's Still Life and Landscape on Michael Pucciarelli YouTube channel. Thank you for listening to this webinar.